Next from Springfield, members of the AFSCME union hold a rally at the state capitol demanding a wage increase for all members. This runs about 30 minutes.
How proud I am to see all of you here today for this very important rally. And many of you noticed when you came in to the Capitol that in this very space before us, SEIU Healthcare was also here to rally today. And you know what? You know what? They're here for the same reason we're here, because Governor Rauner won't pay them what they're owed. It's the same fight, and sisters and brothers, we're in it together. So we have asked a representative of SEIU, a home care worker, Costin Plummer, who works for ORS, who cares for a disabled brother, to speak to you this morning. Can I call him up, Costin, to come on up and to say some words?
I'm just gonna make it real quick and sweet. My name is Costin Plummer. I'm a home care worker. We in the same fight that you got, but all I want to tell you guys is when you pick on one of us, you pick with all us. Okay?
Now there's a man, when he says it's going to be short and sweet, he's not kidding. Thank you, Costin. Thank you, SEIU, because I have to tell you, SEIU had reserved this space, this sound system, the podium, everything already. And when we had to move down because we had too many people for the second floor, they moved out quickly and they gave us all this equipment to use. So thank you, SEIU. Now let's just get off to a great start. We're going to go back to those chants that you learned so well. Fair pay, do it today. We are here today on a simple, clear mission to call on Governor Rauner to follow the law and restore thousands of state employees, human services caseworkers, correctional officers, child protective investigators, revenue auditors, mental health technicians. The list could go on. Restore all of them to their appropriate placement on the STEP plan. From the day he came into office, this governor insisted that state workers did not deserve a pay increase. At the bargaining table with our union, he refused to even consider the most modest pay increase for any time during the entire 4 years of his term in office. But this governor went even further. He blocked the STEP plan already in effect that provides for employees a modest increase as they move through the pay plan. He acted unilaterally. That STEP plan is intended to recognize the progress that employees make as they move in their job, and it is a promise. It is what employees are told when they're hired that they're hired for. It's a commitment made to employees. Now, even though labor law clearly provides that current conditions of employment cannot be changed while a union and management are negotiating a new contract, our negotiations with the Rauner administration had barely gotten underway when in June of 2015, the governor unilaterally nullified the STEP plan and refused to pay the increases scheduled for employees from that day forward. I have to say, hardest hit were newer, younger workers, many burdened with college debt and trying to just get a start in life. Among AFSCME members in state government, there are more than 13,000 employees with less than 5 years seniority. More than 13,000 employees with less than 5 years seniority. And you know what? As a result of Governor Rauner's actions, the overwhelming majority of them are working at exactly the same pay they were getting the day they were hired. Not 1 penny more. None of them are being paid at the rate they were promised when they were hired. That's a violation of ethical standards in my book, and it's a violation of the law in the eyes of the court system in our state. In November, an appellate court ruled, 3-judge appellate court ruled unanimously that those steps never should have been frozen. And the court said that any reasonable employer would have recognized that the step plan had been in place for decades and pursuant to labor law could not be changed. Note that phrase, any reasonable employer. Any reasonable employer. In February, the Rauner administration, the Supreme Court rejected the Rauner administration's efforts to appeal that appellate court ruling. So now the standard, any reasonable employer, stands. But from day one, Bruce Rauner has never been what anyone could consider reasonable. Is it reasonable to detest and belittle tens of thousands of employees the way this governor has belittled and insulted state employees over and over again? Is that reasonable? Is it reasonable to detest and belittle the employees in the Department of Juvenile Justice who just last week we had an employee so badly attacked that he had to have 17 staples in his skull? Is it reasonable to belittle employees in the Department of Corrections where we have had assaults on staff who have been so badly beaten they're not even able to return to work? Is it reasonable to belittle and detest employees in our state psychiatric hospitals who are dealing with increasingly difficult patients and clients? Is it reasonable to detest and belittle DCFS employees when Pamela Sue Knight gave her life trying to protect an abused and neglected child? Is that reasonable? Is it reasonable to do what you must know somewhere deep inside is morally and legally wrong solely for the purpose of creating crisis and chaos? Because that's what this governor said he wanted to do, to create crisis. Sisters and brothers, we're not pawns in a political game. We are people out there every day doing a job for the citizens of this state. And fortunately for the people of Illinois, state employees have not caved into this governor, and we've been true to our mission. We've been true to the mission of good government. We've been true to the mission of quality public services. We don't care if he doesn't care. We care. We care about the people we serve. We care about the services we provide. We care about the people of this state. Governor Rauner, it is time to end the war on your own workers. You do not need to wait for the labor board to act. You have the authority to act now, to put every single employee on the step where he or she belongs. Don't make employees' lives any more difficult. So many employees doing difficult and demanding jobs every day. You should not have the stress, the frustration. You should not have that, wondering if you're ever going to get the money that you're owed. Don't further, Governor Rauner, do not further demoralize an already demoralized workforce. Do the right thing. Do it now. Restore the steps. Take a step toward fairness. Take a step toward fairness. Take a step toward fairness and take it today. Thank you. Sisters and brothers, I know everybody here has a powerful story to tell about what the last few years, the problems that they've created in their lives. But we have with us today 2 state employees who are going to tell you their stories firsthand, and as much as you can, if you can be quiet, because I'm used to yelling, but they're not. So we want to be as quiet as we can be. First is going to be Brittany Adams. Brittany is a DHS Human Services caseworker in Chicago. She's worked for the state for 5 years.
Good afternoon. Okay, so so my name is Brittany Adams. I am a human service caseworker for Chicago at DHS. I'm also exec board member for Local 2858. My job is to serve the community and help families that are struggling. But with Bruce Rauner's step freeze, I'm struggling myself. As of July, I would have worked for the state of Illinois for 5 years, but I'm still stuck at step 1C, the bottom sub-step. And the only pay increase I've ever received was 2% almost 4 years ago. I can tell you, living in Chicago is not cheap. Rent, groceries, bills has gone up so much more than I could afford over the 4 years. Right? Okay. Okay. In that time, my mother, she lost her job, and she had a surgery that she was bedridden. She had no income, so she moved in with me. For those 2 years, I had to pay all our bills, mine, hers, everything. I have a bachelor's degree at UIC. And when I got the state job, I thought I could be able to pay my student loans and be a real adult in the world. But between helping my mom, the cost of living, and everything going up and round and freezing our steps, I had to get a deferment. And I'm not making any progress, and I had debt hanging over my head. Now to save money, I had to stay with family members. I'm 30 years old. I should be able to get my own place, pay my own bills. I don't think that's too much to ask. No. What makes me so mad is what this man has done to us, Bruce Rauner. He's a billionaire. He doesn't have any idea what we do as state workers. We serve the people, and he doesn't care or know how we live. We go to work every day, do our job, care for our community, and he won't pay us what we're owed. Worst of all, is that he's taking advantage of us, who are fresh out of college. They think we need this job so they can mistreat us. The truth is, we want the job. We deserve fair treatment, and we owe what we're paid. And also I want to say, when I first started, I really didn't know anything about the union. But now I realize as a state worker, we wouldn't have anything if it weren't for our union. So together at AFSCME, we know what's right or wrong, what's fair and unfair, what's in our contract. So we gotta stick together, make alliances with everybody we know, and fight the good fight. Solidarity!
Thank you, Brittany. Now I know that so many of you have heard about the crisis over several years now at the Quincy Veterans Home. And you've heard about the deaths at the home, you've heard about the risks of Legionnaire's disease. And through it all, the employees at the Veterans Home who care for those veterans have been on the job, even though some of them got sick themselves, day in and day out. And again, the governor attacks them. Yesterday, the head of the Department of Veterans Affairs attacked her own employees and tried to blame them for what's happened at Quincy Veterans Home. So sisters and brothers, we are very happy to have with us today an LPN from the Quincy Veterans Home, AFSCME Local 1787, Leslie Alfred.
Hi guys. I'm a little nervous up here, so I've been working at the Quincy Veterans Home for over 6 years now, and as Ms. Lynch said, we've been dealing with the Legionnaire crisis. But the fact is, we go to work every day. We work overtime all the time. We do that to make ends meet. Every day I'm taking care of my disabled mom and my children who are trying to make ends meet. We go to work expecting respect, our fair pay, but yet we don't. As you all know, we took care of Governor Rauner for over a week, and he praised us and told us we were great employees and that we should get what we deserve. But yet here we are, and there is no action, just words. I feel that he should do what's right, what is legal, and what is fair. We are an AFSCME family, not just a union. Please remember that. Please unite and stand together. Without our union, we will be lost.
Thank you, Leslie, and let's give both Leslie and Brittany another big round of applause. You know, it is hard to get up here in front of a crowd, and they did it so their stories could be told. Sisters and brothers, we are very happy to have here with us today. As many of you know, Brittany mentioned the importance of solidarity. I talked earlier about the SEIU. Unions need to stick together. We need to stick together. And there is nobody in this state who's done more to try to bring unions together, to unite working people, than the president of the Illinois AFL-CIO, Michael Kerrigan.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We'll bring this mic up just a little bit. Well, welcome to Springfield. Did you bring a sign with you? Let's see those signs. Let's see those signs. Well, you're here, and what do you want? You want fair pay. When do you want it? You want it now. When do you want it? Now. What do you want? Now. When do you want it? Now. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Under this governor, he's been here for 39 months, and unfortunately, and I'm glad you're here, and you know, it's about freedom of speech, but for 39 months, we've been fighting this governor on so many different issues that it would take from now to dinner time to talk about them all. You know, this governor has been about pushing down wages, pushing down benefits, and hurting the middle class. He's hurt children, he's hurt seniors, he's tried to invoke right-to-work zones, he's tried to reduce prevailing wage. Again, it's all about hurting the middle class. But just like with your effort, he's failed. He's failed at this, and a reasonable person would realize he's made a mistake, and he would do the right thing. But I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. So we're here today. You're in the right place to have your voices heard, and without a doubt, we've got to stick together. We've had 39 months, and we've got the power to change this. We've got the power to change. You know, his efforts have failed. He's been a failed leader. I'm going to say that again, this time with feeling. A failed leadership. Failed leadership. Let's see those signs. And I'm proud to be here today with Roberta, with Brittany, and Leslie. And when you hear their stories, and it mimics the stories of every one of you in this room, when you're an employee, you deserve the wages and benefits that you have coming. You know, what kind of employer wouldn't say, as you gain experience, as you gain some seniority, as you gain institutional knowledge, you don't deserve more money? Well, there's one guy who's one floor up, and his name is Governor Rauner. So what do you want? Where do you want it? What do you want? When do you want it? Thank you very much.
Sisters and brothers, I talked about how young workers are the people who are being hit hardest by this step freeze. But you know what I want to point out to you? We're here today on behalf of the younger portion of the workforce who are being denied their steps. Do you know we have dozens of AFSCME retirees here with us today? Thank you, retirees. Thank you, AFSCME retirees, here in solidarity with their working sisters and brothers. Thank you. Now, when we talk about people who stand up for working people, when we talk about friends of the labor movement, when we talk about someone who went toe-to-toe with Governor Rauner, the state's biggest bully, and he found out he could not bully our comptroller. Sisters and brothers, Comptroller Susana Mendoza.
How we doing, AFSCME? All right, very good. I love it. Let me just say that it's my honor and privilege to get to serve you and stand with you today. I am the daughter of Mexican immigrants, parents who have taught me the value of hard work and who also taught me that I need to believe and stand up for honest pay for honest work. When I took office, I promised to be an independent, truth-telling fiscal watchdog. It was the mandate from the people of Illinois for me to be fair and objective. And it's my job to call it like I see it. Yep. So here's what I see today. I see one of our state's greatest assets right in front of me and behind me. Our faithful employees. Yep. I see our faithful employees, our fellow public servants. You were there with all of us, serving and protecting taxpayers during the hard times, and you'll be there for us and with us again during the better days to come. Now, I know your value. I get it. The Office of the Illinois Comptroller knows the importance of organized labor and a union. During my time in this new position, we finalized a fair and good faith agreement with our labor unions, our union employees. And guess what? It didn't take us 3 years of foot dragging, of court fights, of mandated court orders, of these lawsuits. It didn't take us that. It just took a commitment from our management team, which we had to get it done. And the crazy part is that it shouldn't even have to be said, but we live in a unique time, so here it is. I would never even think of denying an employee their rights under a contract that was negotiated in good faith through collective bargaining. I wouldn't do it. When you put your signature on something, to me, that's a binding and solemn promise. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Rauner has failed you. He's failed. He's failed. What is happening right now with your wages is wrong. A state appellate court found it to be illegal. But it's not only illegal, it's immoral. He doesn't care. But we're going to fight that, and we're going to fix that wrong. I know. Now people may say otherwise, but I write the checks from the state. I write the checks from the state. Yep. And I want you to hear it straight from my mouth to your ears. My office is ready to process adjusted payrolls with employees at the proper pay level. We're ready. We're ready. And anyone who says otherwise is wrong, including and especially this governor. This, my brothers and sisters, is a matter of contract law and fairness. The governor needs to implement the process to get this done now. And here's why. Because we need to keep in mind that it's been the state workers who have had the Herculean task of keeping the government running while the governor was trying to tear it down. It's the state workers who've been on the front lines of protecting taxpayers, including the most vulnerable people in this state. And instead of thanking them, instead of saying thank you, I'm going to say it, thank you. But instead of the governor saying thank you to you, Governor Rauner has disparaged you at every step of the way. Including with slow walking the step increases that you are due. Now, when I took office, this state had bills in its backlog that were being held for 2 years that had not been paid. The state and the governor were behaving like deadbeats. Most of our bills are now paid through January, thanks in part to that clear mandate that you gave me to serve as your controller. Thank you. We've made progress on paying many old bills, but now it's time to make progress on the broken promise that was made to you. And even through our darkest days of this unnecessary, man-made, Rauner-created fiscal crisis, I made sure to process all of the employee payrolls. The courts have also acknowledged the importance of honoring employee payrolls. I know that these step increases are part of contractually obligated payrolls and must be treated as such. That's just fancy speak, folks. for me just trying to say, Governor, it's time to pay up. Send me the vouchers. I will pay them. I will pay them. We are ready. Do your job. Do your job, Governor Rauner. Send me the vouchers. We are ready to pay and stand for what is right in taking care of the men and women who every day are out there protecting the taxpayers of this great state of Illinois. Thank you, and God bless you. Yes.
Let's do it. Thank you, Comptroller Mendoza. Now, I want you to listen very carefully to something I'm about to tell you, because some of you may have seen where there was actually a quote from Bruce Rauner in the paper. I think it was the State Journal Register. I saw Doug here earlier. I believe it was in the State Journal Register. He said that he might have an idea for paying the steps. Now, hey, it's not complicated, right? I don't know what he would need an idea. But here's what we're concerned about. Senator Bill Brady has introduced a bill to take away the right of state employees to bargain over health insurance and to allow the governor to impose those gigantic health care increases that he's been trying to impose on us for 3 years now. So make sure, if you are in Bill Brady's district, make sure he knows we're not giving up our right to decent health care. We're not giving up our right to affordable health care. And here's a message for Bill Brady and Governor Rauner. We're not paying for our own step increases. That's what they want us to do. That's their plan. Make us pay for our own pay. We're not doing it. The state promised that money. We are owed that money. The court said we're owed that money, and that money must be paid.